Is it working? Doesn't seem to be. I'll give it a reload. Sometimes it takes a kick in the head. And there it is. Let's see if it sounds like it's working. Sometimes it takes a kick. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglash for the WDMA. And if you haven't joined, then join today. And we're going to be talking about direct mail and digital. And I've got a great article to start off with. Welcome to Adland, where the clicks are made up and the numbers don't matter. That's basically the price of omni-channel marketing that you're all so fond of. Not knowing what is going on. Not caring. Just doing your job, showing up, letting the computers decide where your advertising goes. So, Carrie Thomas, great article, great article. Unlike the whimsical world of improv comedy that's inspired by whose line is it anyway quote, where they said, where everything is made up and the points don't matter. And I don't know what that's from because I'm not into improv comedy. Anyway, digital advertising measurement thrives on accuracy. I don't think it's ever been accurate, right? I think that it's been set up to manipulate the game, to make it look good. And because the internet is perfect for making things look good that don't even exist, it's been winning since 2009 when they started keeping track, which means we only have 15 years of digital performance. Even the made-up stuff has only been around, tracked for 15 years, right? Not that there wasn't advertising on the internet in the 14 years or something before that, right? But we're coming up on 30 years on the internet, and it's never been accurate. No, never. Don't give me that baloney, okay? But one of the things, just one aspect of the idiocy of digital, besides it being ridiculously cheap, is that fraud makes data comically useless, okay? And I would agree. Okay, so Carrie's going to give us a case study on a connected TV platform that claims a unique selling point, directly attributing sales to their connected TV ads and writing that data into Google Analytics based on proprietary household measurement technology. What does that mean? It means they grade their own homework. I went to a progressive prep school for a couple of years. Then my dad found out that the tuition was higher than Marquette University, and I was just goofing around anyway. But I got to hobnob with rich kids when I was in junior high and go to the parties where the houses had elevators. It was quite a fun time while it lasted. But one of the progressive ideas they had was they let us, in one course especially, they let us give ourselves our own grade. So I gave myself an A. I did basically no work. And at the end, they called me in and they said, well, we kind of have a question on this. Like, on what basis, what justification would you have for giving yourself an A? I said, well, I've taken a lot of schooling so far. This is like 8th or 9th grade, you know. And sometimes I thought I deserved an A several times, and I didn't get one. So this time I might deserve a B, but I'm making up for those times when I didn't get what I thought I deserved. Well, how could they argue? They didn't say it had to make any sense. They didn't say it had to be based on your work or nothing. They just said, okay, we're going to let you grade yourself, and you're going to have to justify it. Okay, so anyway, grading your own homework is not a good idea when you're buying services from vendors. Okay, and this particular CTV also added display ads to their mix, but they let the algorithm decide where those display ads would run. And basically what they would do is they would mix their their bonus advertising with their actual click cable TV, direct TV or whatever results. So Carrie decided a client wanted to test this CTV platform, and she'd been in ad tech for 10 years. I know, just a beginner, but it's only been around for a while. So the sales, the vendor boasted many sales attributed to the campaign and shows a climbing return on ad spend. The client seems pleased, okay? Now this is probably in the context of all kinds of different advertising channels and ads and timing and markets and all the rest of it. No one can really sort all this stuff out. And everybody says if you do this, it'll be more effective. So what I looked at the campaign delivery and was immediately able to find several of the most common red flags for fraudulent delivery. So if you're still believing in digital, you might want to look for this. The same number of impressions were delivered during each hour of the day. That's going to be true, especially if it airs at the same time in every time zone as the world spins or something, which isn't probably your market. Dr. Fu, who's mentioned in the article, says, you know, if you're getting more clicks in the middle of the night, which with LinkedIn, I actually often seem to, I get more impressions after 6 p.m. on my post than I did from like the morning to the afternoon in North America. Ads delivered on websites with no visible ad slots. In other words, I'm getting clicks from places where you didn't seem to think I had any ads. And ads delivered on mobile apps that do not exist in the App Store. Made up mobile apps that you just haven't heard of. You know, get with it. You don't know every app that exists, so let's do that. Okay, it's hard to believe so many sales could have been driven by this campaign when the inventory it ran on was so poor. You know, non-existent apps, non-existent websites. It's how an absurdly simple anomaly exposed the shady clickers. Okay, so what was the tell? Google Ad Manager. The ads were traffic through Google Campaign Manager. You know, and I'm working with a new client just the last couple of weeks, and they said, well, we're going to use Google Analytics to keep track of everything. And I thought, oh, good. Fraud. Okay, and that click tracker included UTMs. And I didn't know what a UTM was, right? I'm not going to say what I thought it might sound like. The Universal Transverse Mercator. Mercator. Does that sound real or what? Universal Transverse Mercator. Anyway, it's a coordinate system, and it's a standard set of map projections with a central median or meridian for each 6-degree wide UTM zone. Okay, so as the world spins, it gives you an idea of where the click came from, essentially. That's what it is. Okay, and you've probably seen on your website, if you track it all, I used to do this, where are your clicks coming from? This is part of how they do it, how they figure out where it's coming from. The UTMs were also added directly into the CTV platform. So those UTMs could be applied to sales in Google Analytics when the CTV's platform algorithm detected a sale was driven by the campaign. Okay, so what she found was that users that clicked on the ad, or let's say bots that clicked on the ad, there was a 97% bounce rate and sessions less than a second long. Boop, 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 like that. No sales. Okay, on the ones that came from the ad click. Data written into the Google Analytics by the CTV platform had a 30% lower bounce rate. So basically 2/3 bounce, which is in the realm of reason for most digital campaigns, about a 70% bounce rate, 50% for landing or for back to your website, and 80%, I think, for those going to a landing page, incidentally. And sessions more than 1 minute long, lots of sales. Okay, so all of it was written into Google Analytics by the vendor, which they were allowed to do. So the fraud hides in the averages. The clicks came from inside the house. In other words, the call, you know, if you in that horror movie on Elm Street, I think it was. So up to this point, Carrie didn't use any proprietary tools. She just looked in depth at Google Analytics and Google Campaign Manager. Okay, but then she decided to put pixels on her ads from Dr. Augustine Fu, who I consider a friend and a compatriot in the fight against digital fraud. Anyway, so now we've got pixels from Google in the ad. We've got pixels, because that's how Google Analytics works. We've got pixels from Dr. Fu, and we've got data coming in from the ad manager saying, oh yes, we got you, or from this particular ad vendor saying, we got you lots of sales. Okay, and sales are coming in. This is not a non-existent company. I'm sure. But what happened was Dr. Fu's pixels didn't seem to get the same number of views that the Google Analytics promised. Okay, maybe because the vendor didn't have access to manipulate the numbers. In Dr. Fu's case, does Google have an interest in letting vendors grade their own work? Sure. The better the vendor makes the digital look, the more money Google makes. So the fox is watching the hen house who's grading their own papers. I hope you're getting this. I hope you're following this. Anyway, there were far fewer views, meaning that if Google Analytics is recording the page view, but no page view is recorded by Fu Analytics, then the page view did not occur. That means false data is being written into Google Analytics from Dr. Fu. Okay, the ads were shown exclusively to bots. Yes, all of it, with falsified attribution and ads delivered to bots. It raises the questions, did those ads run at all? Hard to tell. How do you tell if a digital ad runs? Oh, you get sales. Oh, yes, let's look at Google Analytics and see what the sales are. No evidence. You should see what I'm going through. You know, I haven't produced, I had staff producing the mailings, but now I'm actually working direct with Paul at the Market Builder. He actually sent me a PDF of every mailing piece that they're printing. 26,000 of them. I said, Paul, I'm not going through there. He said, well, you can look at the first one or the end one. We did that, show you that. You know, and you can check the QR codes, which I learned how I could do, again, get the full URL, which is wonderful, and everything looks hunky-dory. But the point is, and then they've got the postal receipts, right? And then we'll also have, hopefully, some calls and sales. But we know it's going into the stream. We know it's getting printed. We know it's getting delivered, you know. So no evidence that, the only evidence of CTV delivery from these guys came from the CTV vendor themselves. Oh, yeah, sure, we ran your ads. Oh, sure, we did. Uber famously sued 100 mobile ad exchanges. And that's the exchanges. That's not all the ads that run. Because accidentally they forgot to, they let the ad machine turn off for a week, and the numbers came in just the same. I highly recommend, in a holdout test, that you turn off the ad machine 1 week a month for a couple of months. Use that money to test direct mail. Call us up at the WDMA.org and we'll help you get it started. Okay? There was, in the transparency for the court case, a Funware employee, I love the name, email said, guys, it's time to spin up more BS to Uber to keep the lights on. Deliberate fraud. Okay, so Carrie shut down the campaign. secured a refund, and reinvested into that legitimate vendor. My goodness. And that's what you get. If you're not paying attention, which is not so easy, turn off your digital. Turn it off for a week. You're happy to test, brutally test direct mail, and probably your attribution is hooked up because Google, if you're marketing to somebody and you've been around a while, they have a cookie on their computer. I just ran a scan of this one and had 1,200 cookies, tracking cookies. My goodness. Okay. And Google will say, well, we were there first. It doesn't matter that you mailed and all these sales came in because your mailing drives them to your website in some way, shape, or form. And once they're on the website, Google says, oh yeah, they've been here before. We take credit for that. That's normal tracking. Okay. So turn off, do a holdout test on your digital media. It's the only way to really find out what's going on. And again, join the WDMA. I take all calls. I help everybody. If you're a member, I do appreciate when you join over at WDMA.org. And there's also a LinkedIn group where you'll at least be informed of our regular webinars and such. We've got another one coming up later in April, and it's always fun. Bye-bye. Have a great day. Like and repost.